Hello, Internet, and welcome to SonyCentric, the Outerhaven's official PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Jason Kwasnicki, and we're here today to talk all about PlayStation all the time. My co-host, to my virtual right, Mark Sullivan, the faithful.
How's it going?
And to my virtual left, we have, as always, the lovely Delaila Lugo.
Hello, everyone.
So cordial, so royal, regal, some might say.
There, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Man, I feel like we're about to be served tea.
Tea time.
If you've never listened to SonyCentric before, this is where members of the Outerhaven crew come to discuss everything going on in the world of PlayStation. We usually break it down, we'll throw a little bit of news tidbits out there, and then later on we get into nudes. Yeah. And then a slip of the tongue, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about all those nudes in my head. Yeah, exactly. We usually break it down into a few news tidbits, and then later on get into our big topic of the show. We're going to start off with some releases. Hyper Light Drifter, an indie title that came out on the PC a while back, now has a release date for consoles. It will be coming out on the PlayStation 4 on July 26th. Really pumped for this one. Really juiced.
Really pretty. I am only just seeing stuff about it now, and I'm immediately interested.
Yeah, I've been following this game since they first announced that it was in development, and it's described pretty much, we were talking about it before the show, described as a combination of Zelda and Diablo. I friggin' love Diablo, and who doesn't love Zelda? I don't know. Delilah probably doesn't like Zelda.
No, I do.
That sounded very unenthusiastic. That's coming out July 26th. Look forward to that. I'll be talking about that because I know I'm going to be playing that. And something else I'm going
to point out real quick.
Oh, okay.
It's just that eventually it's supposed to be coming to the PlayStation Vita as well.
Nice.
That's not dated yet. That is not dated yet, but I hope it does get dated.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't turn out like what was that game? Volume? No, was it Volume or was it what was that Metroidvania game? There are a couple games that they say they're gonna bring them to the Vita, but then it takes like 2 years post-release.
Or they just can it in general because they don't think it'll sell.
Right.
But hopefully this is one of those things where it comes to Vita later and they just automatically give anybody that bought it on PS4 cross-buy.
Crossplay. We're doing it here first in the Sony realm.
Cross-buy, cross-play, cross-PlayStation, whatever you want to call it, I don't care.
Who cares?
Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's what happens.
What piqued my interest is it has a artistic influence from Studio Ghibli.
Right. I know, I love that, right?
Amazing.
So, another thing that's coming out that I'm juiced about, because I love being juiced, I Am Setsuna comes out in 3 hours. It's coming out the 19th. It will be a digital only, PS4, PS Vita. Wait a minute. Did they announce? They announced for Vita, right? No. This is the one that it's not coming to Vita, and people are pissed.
It's on Vita in Japan.
In Japan.
Not being localized for Vita, which is a shame because I feel like that would be a really good game for Vita.
Yeah, handhelds have become the last bastion of JRPGs. It's kind of weird that it's not coming to Vita.
Yeah, I would agree.
Chrono Trigger inspired game. That's all they needed to say. I got to play a little bit of this at PAX East. I only got to play a few battles. They kind of kicked me out after 6 minutes. They said I would get 15, and I only got 6 minutes. I waited an hour and a half for that. Battle system is awesome, at least. Didn't really get to experience much of the story or of the progression system. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to be reviewing it for the site, so you can check that out there when that is done. Moving on to some bigger titles. It looks like we might have had a potential leak of Rise of the Tomb Raider's release date on PS4. We were just talking about this recently, a few episodes ago on SonyCentric. Now, what is this? It's GameStop, the Italian GameStop website. It seemed to have some kind of placeholder page for Rise of the Tomb Raider saying it was coming out, and let me check my notes here.
October 11th.
October 11th. Thank you, my co-host, to the rescue.
And that's
preventing that dead air. Coming October 11th, which is a good thing. Not so good. It says on this page, which was screen capped, that it would be priced at €70 and 98 Euro cents. I don't know what
Euros.
Euro cents. I don't know what the cents is in euros. I'm sorry. This is why I have a co-host.
So, for reference, 70 euros equates to about 77 US dollars. And I guess the logic behind... And remember, this is just a leak. Who knows whether or not this is true, but I guess that logic equates to the fact that the DLC already released will likely be included.
Yeah, I mean... Still, if you're trying to get... And this game had a hard enough time when it was just out in the Xbox One last fall. It went up against... What was that? Fallout 4, Halo 5.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
It had a rough time and did not sell well, despite
even
reviewing
more so,
good.
It released on the same exact day as Fallout 4, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it did. I remember because I was in GameStop for my midnight release.
Yeah, and how many people were there for Rise of the Tomb Raider versus Fallout 4?
Not a soul. I actually asked people.
Or, I mean, maybe there were people... I mean, one store is an anomaly, but maybe there were people there for both, but I highly doubt anyone was there, or many people were there solely for Tomb Raider.
Right.
Just because of the hype that Fallout had. It's a shame, because it did review really well, and it looks like a fantastic game.
And after recently finally getting around to play the remastered version of the original reboot that came out on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, I'm excited for it, because that game is awesome. You should go check it out, play it. It was recently on sale on PSN. It will probably be on sale again at some point. I got it for like $4.
For longtime members of PlayStation Plus, it was also a free game. So check to see what's in your library. You might already have it.
Nice.
I know I do, so.
Yeah, Mark, always snooping on them, that PS Plus lineup.
Hey man, I'm never gonna play NBA 2K16, but at least I can say I have it.
Yeah.
Nice. Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think everybody's looking forward to that.
I'm just nervous about... I don't think... I'm hoping that this price isn't accurate, or maybe, hopefully, it's just for, like, some sort of small limited edition, and it's just... it was accidentally reported on that listing.
Right, like,
somehow.
On this listing, it might be listing solely for, like, a Game of the Year Collector's Edition, and there might be just a vanilla edition that is available.
I
hope so.
I can't see that this game... Or I have no doubt that they're going to release this game for PS4 with the DLC included already for $60. I don't think they can just get away with putting out the game, especially since it's been waiting to come out on PlayStation 4 for a while now. People have been waiting, or fans of the series have been waiting for it. I don't know that they're just going to put out only one version that's at an upscale price and expect that to, do well.
That will not go down well from a PR perspective and from a sales perspective.
It really will not, especially after they've been so quiet about it. Like, we have not heard about this port for a while. It completely skipped E3, which we talked about. And the news that we finally get is that they're only putting out one edition. It's $80. That's not good news.
I agree. Delaila, I'm assuming you agree.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I was gloating when they announced it as an Xbox exclusive, temporary exclusive. I was like, oh, that's okay. When we get it, we're gonna get all the DLC. Ha ha ha.
Joke's on you.
That better be true.
How many, I don't know if anyone offhandedly knows, how many DLC chapters or packs or whatever were released for it so far? I know there was the Baba Yaga one. Is there another one so far?
I guess an even more important question, though, about this game, like, it's been out a year. I think a lot of people have already... The people who really wanted to play it, I think, already bought it on Xbox. Now, granted, there are a lot of people who only have a PS4 who also probably really wanted to play it and might go out and get it, but there's so much coming out this fall. I mean, just in October alone, you have The Last Guardian coming out. You have Gran Turismo coming out in November. Not to mention all the third-party games, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. You got a Destiny expansion coming out. The list just goes on and on.
Well, I mean, feel like...
Will you guys be picking this up?
I mean, I would if I played the first one. I still have yet to do that. I think the advantage that Rise of the Tomb Raider has is that it doesn't really directly compete with those games like it did last fall, directly with Fallout 4 coming out on the same day and trying to be a AAA title. This game is still a AAA title, but the fans of the series that haven't played it yet are already going to pick it up. I don't know that they're going to try to win anyone new over, especially since they haven't talked about it for so long. And all the other games that come out in October. I mean, it's the same kind of situation with The Last Guardian. That's whoever's going to buy that game is going to buy that game. They're not. There's a reason Sony's not, going crazy with marketing that game, because they're not expecting to win new people over really too much. They know their audience. They know the people that are going to buy it.
Right, and it's also not an exclusive.
Right, the Rise of the Tomb Raider isn't.
I don't know, Delilah, you gonna be playing this? You need that platinum, I know you do.
I'm definitely gonna get the platinum. I got it for the first one, but I don't see me buying it day one. I see maybe buying it around the holidays, Black Friday, little discount hopefully, because there's way too much saturation going on in October in terms of video gaming, and I'm also gonna be in school, so it's just gonna be difficult for me. Have to pick and choose.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, as excited as I am about this game, or at least as I've said I am about this game, because I've been thinking about it, and it's like, I don't think, quite frankly, I'll be picking it up day one either. I'm gonna have Final Fantasy 15 to finish. I'll have Destiny new material to be playing with in there. I'm gonna definitely be playing The Last Guardian. I've been waiting, how many years? It's like a decade for that game.
Yeah, well, almost.
Almost, yeah, it's like 9 years, right?
Hey, and another thing in October that I actually just saw gameplay for today that I'm actually rather excited for, and we talked about it a little bit before, but World of Final Fantasy actually looks like a super solid RPG.
Yeah, it does look like that stacking system with the battle system. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, put the chibiness and cuteness aside, that looks like a solid video game.
Yeah, and it's funny, by the very fact that this conversation just got derailed by a chibi Final Fantasy game, it just goes to prove the point that the gaming industry mind space has moved on, It's going to be a very hard time for this game.
Yeah, for sure.
This is why like I said, I kind of just feel like Sony, Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix, they all know that the people that are fans of the series that haven't played it are going to buy it, and I think they're content with that.
I hope so. I hope Square Enix doesn't put another one of their projections out, like, oh, we project that this game will make $1 billion, or else we failed.
Tell me it didn't make $9 million? What? How?
I know.
Come on, Square.
I don't know. I feel like September I would have preferred to play, like early September before Final Fantasy. I probably would have gotten it right away because there's not that many games coming out early September, but I don't know.
Delilah, Destiny, September 15th. Rise of the Iron Lords.
Anyway, nothing's coming out in September now. It's kind of the same deal with why is 2K putting out the BioShock collection in September? That's going to be September's the start of when we're getting all these big games. Why are you putting out that HD collection then? You could put it out over the summer where there's a drought, and we could be playing that while we wait for things like Final Fantasy 15 and The Last Guardian and Battlefield and everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wish Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix good luck, because I do want to see that series continue to grow. I think they did a really fantastic job with the reboot. I want to see what they can do moving forward, and I do hope that I do get the chance to go back and play that, because that game, from what I hear, deserves to be played. But moving on to something that may or may not be coming. I don't know. This story was brought to my attention by Mark just before we started recording. I think it's big enough really to warrant kind of a topic of the show discussion. Mark, I'm going to let you lead off with this one.
Alright, so there's a really popular website called Exophase, which basically is like a trophy website for the most part. And on Exophase, there was a trophy list placed for Dead Rising.
Ooh.
What was that?
What was that? It was a zombie.
Yes, it was a zombie.
Rising's actually happening.
Continue, Mark.
Dead Rising 1 has never been on PlayStation systems before, has it? Dead Rising 4 was just announced, seemingly as an Xbox One / Windows exclusive. Really interesting.
Yeah, I mean...
And really all of a sudden...
The first thing that comes to my mind is, now, Dead Rising is a Capcom game, no?
That's correct.
Now, does Microsoft own the IP? They do, right?
I don't think that they do, solely because Dead Rising 2 did come to PlayStation.
Oh, it did, so it's not unprecedented. Okay.
Right. The first game never did. The second game did come multi-platform, and then 3 was, as we know, an Xbox One launch title, and then came to PC later. But the only one that's ever been on PlayStation was 2.
Okay.
And another really interesting thing to point out is Dead Rising 4 has kind of been highly touted as sort of a reboot of the first game, taking place in roughly the same location with, additional stuff around Christmas time. So why are they putting out the first game again on a system that's not getting the newer game?
It's all kind of weird, especially because Microsoft kind of threw Dead Rising around, the new one at least, as it was kind of one of their big game reveals, quote unquote, at E3,
Yeah, and
that's kind of a kick in the nuts
too.
Yeah, that's kind of a kick in the nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, could it be Capcom responding maybe to the announcement of Xbox's crossplay plan, which is that everything is available? Well, actually, no, it's not an exclusive. It's not a first-party title, so it wouldn't be available on PC, or at least on the Windows Store. I don't know. There's, I guess.
Dead Rising 4?
Yeah.
No, Dead Rising 4 will be Play Anywhere as well.
Oh, it will be Play Anywhere.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, so maybe they're anticipating decreased sales because of that, or maybe Capcom just wants more money. Quite frankly.
Capcom did go on the record before saying that their main focus is remasters and remakes and collections. They said that I don't want to say the beginning of this year, might have been late last year, but they did say that was their focus. So that sort of makes this make sense, but at the same time, we just, like I said before, we just got the announcement for Dead Rising 4. It seems like it's somewhat tied to the first game in terms of setting and obviously the character, but what the hell, we'll release the first game again on a system that's never seen it before, and also a system that's not going to be seeing the new one. It's just weird.
Right, I would have to imagine if they're releasing the first one on PS4, it will be at some kind of depreciated price, obviously. Think Ratchet and Clank, but maybe even cheaper.
Oh, I would say this is probably going to be $20.
Right, $20 to $30.
Yeah, I mean, the first Dead Rising came out. I don't actually know.
Yeah, the only way I could think about it is that it's advertising for the new one. In the same way that Resident Evil 4 is coming to Xbox One. That's the first time that game will be available on an Xbox platform, right?
No.
Was it on the 360?
The HD version was on the 360.
I should have known. That game is literally on... That game's on my iPhone.
Yeah, you can buy Resident Evil 4 pretty much anywhere. Except the Ouya.
Yeah, still, though, it's got to be building up to 4 being, a timed exclusive or something.
Yeah, and that's a possibility. And also keep in mind that the only information we really have on this is the fact that there's trophies listed on Exophase. We don't know that this is official. We don't know that this is legitimate. Hell, even before, just for context of weird leaks on trophy sites or weird leaks in general, Metal Gear Rising at one point. You know how on the trophy list you'll see the platforms that the trophy list is shared on, between PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and Vita? Mm-hmm. Metal Gear Rising at one point had the Vita symbol below it, which led to a lot of rumors that Metal Gear Rising would be being ported to Vita, and that never happened. I think that might have been removed at some point. So there's no official confirmation. This doesn't necessarily mean that this is legitimate. But if it is, it's really interesting, really kind of strange to talk about and to consider, given what's going on with that franchise currently.
Delaila, what do you think? Given, as per usual, you're pretty quiet.
Well, refresh my memory if I'm wrong, but in E3, wasn't there some talk that they didn't specify Dead Rising 4 being an exclusive, right?
I would imagine that if what we're saying is true, then they were probably as hush as they could about it being exclusive.
Here's one thing to consider: is usually during Microsoft's press conference when they go to show a trailer for a game, they start off with that whole announcer guy saying Xbox exclusive or
Right,
you know,
exactly.
whatever that thing. I don't remember whether or not that happened when they did reveal Dead Rising 4, and I don't know how they handled that, considering pretty much every game Microsoft had to show, and this is turning into a Microsoft show right now. But I don't remember if they had something different, considering so many things were Play Anywhere, on Microsoft Windows and Xbox One. So I don't know if they... basically what I'm getting at is I don't know if they specified that that's a Microsoft exclusive, and it very well might be another timed exclusive deal, and eventually coming to PlayStation. It is still being published by Microsoft Studios, so it very well could be another Rise of the Tomb Raider situation.
Yeah, because I remember when I was watching E3, I remember just thinking that they did not say, like, Xbox exclusive. So, and I was like, oh, maybe they're going to bring it out for the PS4. And then seeing this trophy list, I don't know, it's kind of all, like, evidence, like, coming in place. Maybe we're going to get it.
Very well might be building up to something, yeah.
And I mean, just because just because, like, Microsoft or Sony is a publisher, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be exclusive to their platform. Like, for instance, what was it? Helldivers was published by Sony, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, and that came out on PC. That's on Steam. I mean, I think it all depends on how much money these companies invest. Like, so, what is it? 343 Studios, that's former Bungie. That's fully owned by Microsoft, I believe. They're putting a whole lot more into that game than if they just were solely a publisher. The same thing with, like, Naughty Dog, which is within Sony's shop, as opposed to Helldivers, which is being developed by somebody Sony does not own. Therefore, there's far less money going into that. So I think there's more wiggle room in terms of where that game ends up when they're negotiating with the third party, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's interesting. I mean, as for Dead Rising itself, I personally have never played any of these games. What about you guys?
I played the demo for the first one back in the day, and I couldn't really get into it.
Yeah, I never got deep into it. I just fucked around with it on my friends' consoles.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks, from a cursory view, it looks pretty much just like a brawler where you just you mow down hordes of zombies with melee weapons.
In various ways.
And it's got I feel like it's got the typical, like, Capcom sense of humor. They have made homages to, like, Mega Man, and this is interesting. I actually just found confirmation that Dead Rising 1 and 2 are officially heading to PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Okay, so that solves that one, but
yeah, that solves that one.
But I still think the point remains that we might potentially be seeing 4.
I don't know. I maybe they're just putting it out there because why not? Put it on PS4 because they just simply can. But maybe this does
they're putting the entire Resident Evil catalog out there, so.
Well, yeah. Maybe this does mean that we'll eventually see both 3 and 4 as well on PS4.
Do you think there's a market for those games on PS4?
I mean, I feel like there's as much of a market as there for PS4 as there is for the other games. I like, in the sense that I don't know. I don't see Dead Rising as having that big of a pedigree.
It's not a huge IP, from what I understand.
It's very well known, and it is, like, it does have name recognition. I don't know that it's as big as it used to be.
Honestly, at the end of the day, I look at this kind of as a business thing where I think Capcom is just trying to cash in where they can, because pretty famously they're kind of in need of money right now.
Right.
Especially after the loss they took with Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, well, we don't have to talk about that game. This does kind of match in with what they did say originally that their focus was.
True. So I do think it would make sense, at least if that is their focus, to hit every market they can, and it would make sense that this is kind of a introduction, test the waters, so to speak, to see if it is worth porting. Although I would also have to imagine that if Microsoft is putting money towards Dead Rising 4, which is probably the case, that it would at least have to be a timed exclusive.
Right.
I agree.
Does this excite you guys at all?
It is for sure the case, by the way. they're definitely publishing it.
Right.
It doesn't excite me like, oh, I'm gonna get it if it happens for the PS4, but I like when it moves over for us. No matter what game it is, like any big game, like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing.
I have the exact same mentality. Like, cool. Games everywhere.
Yeah.
I only ask you guys to kind of gauge interest, because I know you guys are hardcore.
I'm over zombie games personally.
Hmm.
The only zombie game I'll never really be over is Resident Evil 4, because I will buy that game no matter how many times it comes out.
Oh, dude. Talk about juiced. Talk about things I'm juiced for. August, man.
But as far as, like, I don't know, even I think we even talked about this, and I mentioned it on our reaction to Sony's E3 press conference. I didn't really care too much about Days Gone. Like, I'm happy we know what Ben Studio is working on, and the game looks great. It definitely was not within my top 5 favorite things that came out of that conference.
Yeah, it definitely faded away like a fart in the wind. Like, I was all about that game on our post E3 episode, and like even me, like I kind of forgot it existed until you just reminded me.
Within days, it was gone from our minds.
Oh, the puns, they keep rolling.
They're pretty. One could say that they're pretty dank.
Ooh, dank of the episode right there.
Yeah, well,
Mark's just rolling them up and puffing away.
We missed the dank of the last episode, so I'm a little heartbroken about that.
Yeah, we did. It's unfortunate. So thank you, Mark, the faithful.
You're welcome.
I will try and plug in the dankness into SonyCentric.
That's quite alright, Delaila. I think Mark's doing a great job.
A good game to play if you're feeling dank. Just get stoned, fuck some zombies up.
Jesus.
That's
Delaila, that's like the longest period of time you've ever talked in one sentence, and that's what you say?
It was about smoking weed and killing zombies.
Jeez. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. So, do you think, folks, we might see 4? Mark said we haven't seen 3 yet. Is it possible that they'll then release 3 and then possibly release 4? What do you think is going to happen? Let us know in the comments, folks. This has been SonyCentric, the Outerhaven's official PlayStation podcast. Every week we get together, us SonyCentric crew, and we discuss what's going on in the world of PlayStation. You can hit me up at SolidQuaz. You can hit up Mark, the co-host, the faithful, at Nibelheimian. You can hit up Delaila Lugo at Assassinasan. If you like this video, please hit that like button below, and you can click subscribe to head over to the Outerhaven Productions. Or, Mark, what's that shortcut? yt.theouterhaven.net. Got it. The co-host, the faithful. He's always got my back.
On it.
Over there on our YouTube channel, you can check out all of our other podcasts. In addition to SonyCentric, we got Experience for your Microsoft news. We got the A1 podcast, The Pulse, all that good stuff. Or you can head over to www.theouterhaven.net for all of our written content. We got news, editorials, opinions, reviews. Hit that all up. Speaking of which, you can check there pretty soon. I should have up a review for I Am Setsuna for all you RPG nerds out there.
Nah, just real quick. There's a new review out for Song of the Deep. It's one of Insomniac's new games.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I just want to plug that real quick. It was written by one of our new writers. Go check that out. Go check out that review if you're interested in the game. It's a cheap game, and I hear it's pretty good.
Excellent. Folks, this has been SonyCentric, the Outerhaven's official PlayStation podcast. Peace out, Internet.
Later.
Bye-bye.